in continuation of the last videos on periodic properties of BSc Part 1 in organic chemistry. In this video, we are going to study about electron affinity. Metals have a tendency to lose electrons, whereas non-metals tend to gain electrons. Ionization is a measure of the energy changes at the time an electron is lost from an atom. However, for non-metals, it is preferable to study a property that relates directly to the energy changes when atom gains electron. This is electron affinity, which is defined as the amount of energy released when an electron is brought from infinite distance up to a neutral gaseous atom and absorbed by it and turning into an anion. Electronic affinity be represented by the halide atom in the gaseous form adds on an electron, converts into the halide ion and releases an amount of energy which is known as electron affinity. Now, if we consider the above equation in the reverse manner, that is, the halide ion in the gaseous form absorbs a certain amount of energy and gets converted into the neutral halide atom while releasing an electron. So, we see that the electron affinity of an atom is equal to the ionization energy of its uni-negative anion with sign reversed. Ionization energy and electron affinity are opposite to each other, whereas ionization energy is associated with the ionization process, that is losing of an electron. Electron affinity is associated with the addition process, that is gaining of an electron. Anions bearing more than one negative charge can frequently be seen to exist. Such anions can be formed only by accepting more than one electron. Hence, like ionization energy, various electron affinities must be differentiated in their definition. The energy change brought by the addition of the first electron to a neutral atom is called the electron affinity, first electron affinity E1. The energy released in making a binegative ion from the uni-negative ion is called as second electron affinity E2, and whereas the third electron affinity is associated with the converting of a binegative anion to trinegative anion by addition of a third electron. When a neutral atom accepts an electron, the added electron occupies the outermost shell and is repelled by all the electrons already present in it. The addition of an electron to a neutral atom gives the negatively charged ion, which has one more electron than there are protons in the nucleus. Hence, when another electron approaches this uni-negative ion, it also exerts a repulsive force, thus opposing further entry of the electron. Consequently, the effective nuclear charge of the uni-negative ion becomes lower than that of the neutral atom, and with each addition of the electron, the effective nuclear charge decreases. This explains why only the atoms having high effective nuclear charge spontaneously accept an electron, and the anions have little tendency to form binegative or polynegative anions. For example, 141.1 kilojoules per mole energy is released in the addition of an electron to oxygen atom, but 704.3 kilojoules per mole energy must be supplied to convert it into binegative anion. So, we see that oxygen releases an energy, but in going from the uni-negative to the binegative, it must be supplied with this much energy. So, if we consider both the equations, then we see the overall 563.2 kilojoules per mole energy has to be supplied in order for the oxygen atom to gain 2 electrons to form a binegative anion. In other words, 563.2 kilojoules per mole energy will have to be given for the formation of the oxide 2 minus. Similarly, addition of the first electron to sulfur atom releases 200.4 kilojoules per mole, while addition of the second electron requires 328.1 kilojoules per mole. Thus, formation of the S2 minus requires 127.7 kilojoules per mole. Clearly, the formation of these two ions is endothermic, hence they should be unfavorable. Still, why these anions are formed? This is because stability of a number of ionic oxides and sulfide is explained with the help of a lattice energy. With the increase in the ionic charge, the lattice energy increases by such a large amount that it is more than sufficient to overcome the effect of absorption of energy required for the formation of binegative or polynegative ions. Here it is necessary to discuss the sign of the electron affinity. So, we see that according to the thermodynamic convention, the energy gained by the system is represented by positive sign and the energy released by the system is indicated by the negative sign. Thus, the ionization energy is positive, here the electron affinity is negative, and if the energy is absorbed by the addition of the electron, then this energy will be represented as positive sign. Now, it must be made clear that the electron affinity and electronegativity are two different terms, and we see that while electronegativity is the electron attracting power of the atom towards the bond pair of the molecule, the electron affinity is the energy change on addition of an electron to an isolated or non-bonded atom. Now, we come to the determination of electron affinity. The direct determination of electron affinity is very difficult, and experimental determination has been possible only for some halogens. Therefore, it is more commonly determined by indirect methods. One general employed method is Born-Haber method or Born-Haber cycle, which is based on the assumption that the net energy in a cyclic process is 0. For this, formation of a salt from its elements is theoretically considered in different steps, and energy changes involved in each step is found out. The resultant of all the energy changes gives the theoretical value of the heat of formation, which is compared with the experimental determined value obtained by the experimental formation of the salt. For example, formation of 1 mole of NaCl from 1 mole of sodium metal and half mole of Cl2 can be theoretically discussed in the following steps. In the first step, the sodium solid absorbs sublimation energy and gets converted into sodium metal atom in the gaseous form. In the second step, the chlorine molecule absorbs dissociation energy and forms chlorine atom in the gaseous form. Then in the third, the sodium metal atoms which were formed in the gaseous state, they absorb ionization energy and are converted into sodium cation and loses 1 electron. In the next step, the sodium metal loses an electron, and this electron is gained by the chlorine atom and forms chloride ion with the release of electron affinity energy. Next, we come to the formation of NaCl. Now, when the chloride and the sodium cation are formed, they combine each other to form the crystal, releasing energy called as lattice energy. Then we come to the calculation of heat of formation. The net energy released in the steps 1, 2 through 5 is the heat of formation, that is delta F of NaCl. So, delta F becomes equal to S minus S plus I plus D by 2 minus E minus U. Now, this S sublimation energy, ionization energy and D by 2 energy are to be supplied, whereas E and U are the energies which are evolved. So, they are with negative sign and they are with positive sign, and this D by 2 is because D is the dissociation energy of 2 moles of atoms, whereas D by 2 becomes the energy associated with the dissociation of 1 mole of chlorine atoms. Because we see that by dissociation of chlorine molecule, 2 moles of chlorine atoms are formed, and we need only 1 mole of chlorine atoms, hence the dissociation energy is divided by 2 to get the dissociation energy of 1 mole of atoms. Delta F of a salt and also S and I can be determined experimentally. U can be calculated theoretically, and then the value of E, that is electron affinity, is determined. Thus, E is equal to S plus I plus D by half plus heat of formation minus lattice energy. All these steps are conveniently represented by the Born-Haber cycle. So, we see that in this, the sodium solid absorbs sublimation energy and is converted into sodium gas ion, sodium gas atom. This sodium gas atom then absorbs ionization energy and gets converted into sodium ion. This half chlorine molecule absorbs dissociation energy and gets converted into chlorine atom gas, and this chlorine atom gas in the gaseous form absorbs the electron released by the sodium metal atom in the formation of the sodium ion and releases an amount of energy equal to electron affinity and gets converted to chloride ion. Now, the sodium cation and the chloride anion which are formed, they release lattice energy and form 1 mole of crystal. Now, this is the one method, the one process, and the second is the sodium metal in the solid state and the half molecule of the chlorine, they combine together to give NaCl, and this is known as heat of formation. So, these two can be equated and this HF will be equal to all the energies sum up together. Now, we consider the example. If we consider the electron affinity of the chlorine with the help of the following energy values, where S is the 108.4 kilojoules per mole sublimation energy of sodium, I is the ionization energy of sodium which is 495.4, D is the dissociation energy of Cl which is 241.8, U is the lattice energy of the formation of NaCl crystal which is 757.3, and whereas delta F is the heat of formation of the NaCl crystal which is 381.2. So, for calculating the value of E, the formula is E is equal to S plus I plus D by 2 plus delta F minus U. So, substituting these values, we see that the value comes to be 348.6 kilojoules per mole. So, 348.6 kilojoules per mole comes to the value of electron affinity of the chlorine. That is all for today. Thank you.